never let it be said that Tech3D isn't a one-stop shop for testing out all the crap on Amazon so you don't have to, and enriching your life with just invaluable consumer content. I don't know where I got that from. But right, mate, before Christmas, I did a video on this. I was planning on moving my entire life over to this laptop. Didn't quite work out, this being one of the reasons why. But yeah, it's a long story. This is a Dell Mobile Precision 7760. It's currently the best mobile workstation on the planet right now, and probably for the next 4 or 5 months. It's got the Xeon 11955M in, 8 cores. It's got NVIDIA's RTX 85000 in. It's got the 4K HDR 120Hz screen in. It's an absolute cracking laptop. It just didn't quite work out. But whilst I was trying to move my life over to it, I went on the Amazon hunt, and mate, I have seen some utter gash being sold in my 40 odd years on the planet by snake oil salesmen. But whilst I was doing the hunt, looking for stuff to try and make this work, I came across some absolute crap, and this sort of took the cake. It's from a company called Klim. This cockroach looking thing is one of them, and apparently, allegedly, it took me a good couple of minutes to try and figure out exactly what you're meant to do with it, but apparently it just rests against the vents on the outside of a laptop, and it sucks, ladies, the heat out from the vent like a vacuum. Sure. And makes your laptop cooler. Now that raises a number of questions. The first one being, now this laptop, for example, has a number of vents. For example, this one's got 2, and I'm sure as shit not going to be buying 2 of these. I've got a Dell XPS. This one has no external vents at all on the outside. This is an Inspiron, which I didn't end up doing a video on. That's a vent, and then that's a vent as well. So you would need 2 of them. Who's going to sit with 2 of these on either side? Come on, man, turn it in. But does it work or not? I don't know. I'm going to try it out, but I've got very, very, very low expectations for it. Hey, I could be wrong. I could be poking fun at it. It might end up proving me wrong. The second thing is one of these. Now, these have been around for a long time. These are nothing new. And there's some mileage to these. These are laptop cooling pads. So you sit your laptop on top of it, and it blows ambient air through a massive cooling fan up into your laptop. So those are the things I'm going to be trying out. And I'm going to be trying it out on a pretty intensive Autodesk workload. I'm going to be using Autodesk VRED. Using a Ferrari 275 GTB 4CAM because, mate, I see too many other cars parked outside the local Starbucks, and I am not a self-indulgent wiener, sir. No, I'm a connoisseur. Yeah, champagne would fall from the heavens, velvet robes would part.
Precisely.
Oh man, I need to get on more. Right, so what I'm going to be doing is hitting Autodesk VRED in this scene with a pretty intensive, both a GPU and a CPU workload. So this scene is set up for RTX based and CPU ray tracing. And the way I'm going to be monitoring this is I've got HW info in the background. I'm going to enable logging, see what it's like, and then disable logging, and then see what that's like. But first, let's open up this, and I'm just curious to see what this actually looks like on the inside. So yeah, let's start with that. I'm just very curious to see, before we get into how these actually perform, what is inside the box. What does this look like? Wow. I've got a number of pads here. Ice. That's okay, so it's USB powered. A number of grommets. I assume, so it's airtight sealed. Different sizes to cope with different laptop vent sizes. And then, I mean, to be fair, it looks like a serious bit of kit when you first get your hands on it, but whether or not this actually does anything, mate, I've got very, very, very serious big reservations over that. But yeah, does it even fit? This is basically all it does. It just goes in there, and then like that's it. That's all it does. You plug it into USB, and then it'll just suck the air out like that. Like, that's literally all it does. And then you're meant to have another one on the other side, which I'm not going to be doing or buying. So I'll get this hooked up. I'll pick this up afterwards, mate. Expectations low. So mate, after much calamity, things falling over and whatnot, and me having to manually hold this against the laptop, results in logs are created. The Ferrari 275 GTP 4cam has been thoroughly rendered in VRED by a connoisseur, not a self-indulgent wiener, sir. Funny, your name is Roger.
Two Rogers don't make a right.
Wow. Okay, so I'm going to use this website, which is amazing, actually. I love this. I'm going to see if I can get in touch with the guy that does this, see if I can get this put in the InvMark. Love this. So I can upload my logs. What I'm going to start with is the rendering on the GPU with no external cooling. We'll take a look at the GPU core temperature. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff I've in here. I mean, it'll take hours to go through all this, but the GPU, not the power, the core temperature over time. So the rendering starts around about here, and then the temperature sort of gradually rises on the GPU, so it peaks at around 75 on the RTX A5000, and then the rendering stops about here. So if we look at the core load, total render time, so between 11:24:29, 11:29:37. So we're looking at about 5 minutes and 8 seconds total render time on the GPU. Okay, not too bad, not too bad. Let's take a look at the CPU test. Let's just copy and paste that bad lad into there. Upload the no external cooling, core temperature, average. That'll do. So yeah, we got spike, main core temperatures peaking sort of high 90s, and then it just throttles down to sort of 80s, and then yeah, I mean, it was a really long render time. We're talking sort of, it ended at around 11:58. It began at around 11:49, so we're talking about 9 minutes to create the render on the CPU. With the package temperature, I mean, yeah, it's 100. Yeah, spiked, peaked 100, and then the mean's about 83. Right, maximum value 101. That's without any external cooling. Okay, so with Klim, the cockroach attached to the back of it, let's start with the GPU. So the GPU temperature means at 73, peaks at around, well, averaging, settling, idling around 75. So with the Klim external vacuum attached on the GPU, let's upload this one and see what we got on the GPU temp. Okay, was not expecting that. I'm not gonna lie, I was not expecting that. It made quite a considerable difference. Right, so it's admit when you're wrong, Neil. Okay, so it's dropped the mean temperature of the GPU from 73 down to 66. Although I did end the logging earlier on the test without it doesn't matter. So whilst the ray tracing was going with no external cooling, we were idling around 75. With the cockroach attached to the back, it's dropped the temperature by around 4 degrees. So we're idling at about 70, 71 to 72. But what I'm noticing actually is, look at the ramp up time, or the ramp up temperature. The ray tracing started here. This is without any external cooling. It reached the high temperature, it reached its peak temperature much quicker than it did with the external cooling. So it's like this thing allowed the laptop to operate cooler for longer, and you can quite clearly see that, like the ramp up time of the temperature. I can't put these charts side by side, unfortunately. I don't think you can do that on this website, but that's a staggering difference. Let's import the CPU with the Klim. So that'll be the vacuum with the Klim. So we want to look at CPU package temperature. Mean of 85. So actually it didn't make too much of a difference. So we've still got a maximum value. Yeah, it's not really made too much of a difference at all really with the CPU temperature. It had a higher mean temperature. Yeah, it didn't really make too much of a difference. But what I want to know, what I really do want to know is, did it make a difference to the render time itself? And what I'm mostly interested in is the GPU temperature, the GPU ray tracing, because that's mostly what people are using these days. So I think we'll find that out mostly with the core load, because you can see there, that linear line there is the render. So this is it without any external cooling. So 2429 to 2937. So we're talking about 5 minutes and 8 seconds with no cooling, with the cockroach attached to the back. 1615 to 2127, so 5 minutes. It's slightly longer actually, 5 minutes and 12 seconds ish. Basically it did. So although the laptop ran cooler with the cockroach attached to the back, great story. You can bang on about thermals, power draw, all that kind of stuff. I mean, package, GPU, wattage. Let's take a look at the wattage. Did it actually draw less power? Yeah, I mean, it drew less power. Actually, it peaked maximum value, it drew more power, but overall, yeah. You can beat on about thermals and temperature, wattage and whatnot for gaming and how important that is. But in terms of production, all we really care about is, does it get your work done quicker? And in this case, no, it didn't. It didn't make any tangible difference. In fact, the render took a couple of seconds longer with that attached, which really is just margin of error, and that had no impact whatsoever on the render time at all. So with the stand, I mean, you saw some footage, maybe, I don't know if I've placed it already, of me putting a bit of plastic bag over the top of the fan, and it having actually no difference whatsoever to the bag, because the fan's so weak. That was at max RPM. So let's import the log for the fan and see what happens with that. So GPU, so we want the stand external GPU with the GPU temperature, and it would appear this chart's broken. Oh great. Anyway, but it's dropped. Well, we've still got a drop in temperature, so a mean of about 67, and yeah, I suspect that's because the laptop's potentially raised. I don't know, but unfortunately the graphs are broken. I don't know why. I did a test with all of the cooling. Let's take a look at this one. So GPU temperature. So that, oh, okay. So with the stand and the Klim attached, maybe this is where it fell off. This is where everything fell off. So we got 70, and then it dips down to, that's not too terrible actually. So 68 degrees. So that's with the laptop on the stand and with the cockroach attached to the back. So we've seen a drop in temperature from what was 75, 74s down to 68s. You can't grumble at that. Now, if you are after thermals and reducing thermals, then fair play. The core load, let's take a look at the actual render time. So it started at 53:35, ended at 58, so still 5 minutes. It's still 5 minutes and 10 seconds, so it's still, even though the GPU ran at a much lower temperature, it still had absolutely no effect on the render time to output the render. So the render itself, I had to lower the quality settings and whatnot, just because a render like this with depth of field and whatnot would have took hours for it to actually finish, so I had to lower the settings and stuff. But all of this stuff, yes, it actually does work. It does lower the temperature of your laptop, but in terms of rendering, it didn't have any tangible impact on the performance of rendering outputs. Whether that would make a difference for your games, right? Would games run faster if your laptops run cooler? I don't know, I don't care. But right, the fact is, there you go. It did actually make the laptop run cooler. So that's what I wanted to get out of this. So thanks for watching. That's all I really wanted to do. I'm amazed, actually. Thing is, this was loud. It really did run quite loud, and I wouldn't want to use this. It's a faff, right? It doesn't connect to the back of the laptop with any real conviction. If you knock this and break the seal, it's not going to perform very efficiently. The stand itself, I'm still not overly convinced that was really doing all that much. I'm sure that just raising this up was doing more than anything else, but never mind. Thanks for watching. If anything, I hope you found that interesting, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks very much. Toodles.